Hi crafters, it's Chloe from Chloe's Creative Cards, and today I'm going to be showing you a bit of a 2-for-1 project. So we're actually going to be making 2 beautiful DL cards using the Winter Wonderland tree border stamp. But I'm going to show you how to do this one first, which is all done in white and silver, and then I'm going to show you how to create this Northern Light style inky background on the second one. So I'm really excited to show you this technique because it's showing you how you can take one stamp and give it 2 different looks, but also how if you're maybe just starting crafting, you can start out with one project and then as you progress you can move on to the next one too. So we're going to get started. We're going to create this project first, which is this really pretty white and silver Christmas tree project, and you can see how lovely and sparkly this is. It's absolutely gorgeous. So to get started, I have got a DL card blank. So I'll be honest, what I've done is I've actually cut this down from my 8x8 cards because I always end up with a little strip that I never know what to do with, and I thought this project is going to be perfect to utilise that. So I've got my card blank. So this is around 8 inches by around 4 inches roughly. You can take a little bit extra off if you want to make it a little bit thinner, or you can add a little bit extra on to make it a little bit larger. I've then cut a piece of silver mirror card to fit on the front, and then a piece of white card to fit on top of that, and the white card is the piece we're going to work on. So we'll pop our little mats and layers out of the way. So we're going to grab that piece of white card first, and we're going to take an anti-static bag and give it a good dust over. So what this does is this is going to get rid of any fingerprints, anything like that that may be on the card. I'm just going to give that a good dust over like so, and you can see that there. So next up, what we are going to do is we're going to take our stamp, which I've got mounted onto my acrylic block. So this is the Winter Wonderland tree border stamp and die set, which is this one here. So it does come with an extra die that you can use to cut the tops of the trees out, but today we are just going to use the stamp set because I wanted to show you how you can create some really beautiful flat cards for posting. So we've also got a sentiment on this sheet which we're going to use too. So we've got our tree border. We're going to start off by inking this up. So I'm using my Wow clear embossing ink pad and just inking over those trees. I'm going to take our stamp, flip it round. We are going to place this down. Now I like to use my stamping mat because it's got a grid on there. It makes it a little bit easier to line up. So I'm going to stamp it quite near to the bottom, but I'm leaving a little bit from the edge, just so that we can get a piece of ribbon down the side. Stamp that about there. So you want firm, even pressure all over the stamps. I know some people like to use a stamping platform and things. I personally don't like them. I just like a thin acrylic block. I think it does the job perfectly well. So then we can lift that off, and I don't know whether you'll be able to see it at home, but there is a very thin impression of the trees there. So we're then going to take our Wow Metallic Silver Sparkle embossing powder and pop that over the top. So you can see there how we've got that lovely sparkle on the trees. We're then going to heat this up. So I'm going to use my heat tool. There we go, and then you can see we've got that lovely sparkly effect. So what we're then going to do is I'm going to take my little anti-static bag again. I'm going to just give the top corner a little dust. Got my sentiment stamp that is on my acrylic block, and I'm going to just take this and ink it up. So again, using that Wow clear embossing ink pad, just inking this one up. And we're going to just position this in the corner. Trying my best not to lean in here so I don't block the camera. Position that about there. And then again, just a little bit of firm even pressure all over the stamp, and then you're going to lift that off. And then we're going to take our metallic silver sparkle embossing powder. We're going to sprinkle that over the top, tap away any excess, and then we're going to heat up this sentiment. Like so. So you can just brush away any little flecks of embossing powder. There we go, and you can see how that has then created the little base for our card. So what we'll do next is, I think I might stick it onto my card blank purely because I would normally glitter it, but with doing the demo, if it's still wet, I won't be able to stick it together. So I'm going to take my card blank, and I've got my silver mirror card. Now when I lined this up, I thought it needed a little bit extra taking off the mirror. So I'm going to just trim this down just a tiny bit. So just using my little guillotine here. That much, I think, should do it. And then if we just have a little line up of that again. Some mats and layers I measure, some I do by eye. So this particular one, I kind of just did this one by eye. Yeah, that looks spot on. So we're going to take a little bit of glue and get our mirror card stuck onto our card blank. So this is the Arc Glitter Dries Clear Glue that I'm using. Again, if you like to use double-sided tape or tape pens, anything like that, you use whatever you like. So we're going to stick this onto our card blank. There we go. And then we're going to stick our little trees on the top. Again, just a little bit of glue on the back. And stick this down like so. I have to say I'm working with my glasses on today under very bright lights. And it's all bouncing back and reflecting on my glasses. It's a little bit annoying. Right, so what we're going to do is take our PVA glue and we're going to go in and just add loads of little dots onto the trees like this. Okay, and then we're going to take a bit of scrap paper again, and we're using Sleigh Bells, which is one of our sparklicious glitters, and you can instantly see how beautiful and sparkly that is. So we're going to sprinkle that onto the card and then tap away any excess, and then any that we don't use is going to go straight back into the jar there. So this is all looking very fabulous at the moment, but those trees look very floaty. So we're going to ground them. We're going to go in with our PVA glue and literally just scribble across the bottom like this. There's no technical way to do this. You're just kind of scribbling underneath those trees like so. And we're just going to add a little bit of sparkle onto here. So we are going to use a little bit of chunky Crystallina glitter. So that's this one here, and I love this for snow because it's got smaller particles and larger particles in, but it's so super sparkly. It just looks beautiful on your project. So you can see how we've just added that onto there. I've then taken some of our little self-adhesive sparkles and I've gone for the metallics ones. And I'm just going to use the silver to dot these onto my little stars like this. And then I've got a piece of sheer white ribbon. I'm going to tie this just up the side of the card. So just going to slide this in. So again, please wait for your glue to dry with your glitter. Makes it much easier. And then we're just going to tie a little knot, because that way you get the nice ruching in the ribbon. Just going to tie that knot there, and then we're going to take our scissors, trim away the edges of the ribbon. So just trim those ends away. We're then going to take some sheer organza ribbon. I'm going to stick that down there. And I've got one of our little sparklers, which I'm going to pop on the top. And that would then be your completed card. So you can see how beautiful that then looks. If I bring the one in that's all dry, you'll be able to have a better look at that one. So that is your first project using the Winter Wonderland tree border. So building on from that card, I want to show you now how to create this beautiful Northern Lights style background. So really easy to do. I'm just going to grab a piece of scrap paper just to show you how to tear the hills, and then we will get started. So I'll be honest, I put a lot of my cards in boxes, so I tend to use envelopes as scrap. So we're going to use one of our envelopes just as a piece of scrap paper. So we'll get started with this. I'm just going to trim the flat bit off the envelope, and then I can tear my little hill with this. Again, you can just use normal paper if you want. I don't want to use card because it's a little bit thicker. So I want it to be nice and thin so we can get the ink right up to the trees. So again, exactly the same technique. So I've got my DL card blank, and then I've got some silver mirror card and some white card that we're going to put on the top. Now again, I feel like that silver mirror I've cut that a little bit too big. So we'll just trim this down just a little bit, like so. So just taking that little bit off there. And then you can see, might have taken a little bit too much off that time. Always the way. There we go. We'll take a little bit extra. There. So then you've just got a nice little thin silver border. So we're going to grab our little piece of white card in, and we're going to take our tree border stamp to start with. So we're just going to dust over, again with an anti-static bag. That's just going to help get rid of any static, any fingerprints that may be on the card. And then we're going to take our Wow Clear embossing ink pad. We are going to ink up the stamp. So lots of tapping all over the image. Make sure you've got plenty of ink on there. Okay, and then we're going to take our stamp. I kind of positioned it about central, so maybe it's like about here. And this is the thing with clear stamps and clear blocks, you can hover and then press wherever you want them. So we'll just position that down there, press all over, and then we're going to lift that off. And then we'll grab our scrap paper in. We're going to take our metallic silver sparkle embossing powder, sprinkle that over the top, tap away the excess, put this back into the jar. Now again, if you're wondering about any of the products that I'm using, I'll link them all in the description below so you can have a little look in there. Then we'll take our heat tool and just heat this up. There we go, and you can see how we've got that beautiful tree line embossed on there. So now we're going to take our piece of scrap paper and we're just going to tear a nice looking hill. So you can decide which way around you want this to go. Probably would tear that a little bit off there. Just then you can decide like how you want your tree line to sit. So once you're happy with that, we can grab a piece of scrap paper in. This is just to work on for inking now. So it's up to you. If you're confident, you can kind of just hold your little mask in place. Or if you prefer, you can take your little mask, grab a little bit of low tack tape and just tape it down a little bit at the back, and then you can be confident that it's not necessarily going to move. Okay, so we've masked off, so we're going to work on this sky area here to create our Northern Lights inspired background. So we've got 5 different Distress Oxide ink pads. It doesn't matter if you use Distress Oxides or Distress inks for this technique. I've used Oxides because it's the ones that I've got the most colours in. So I'm using Prize Ribbon, Blueprint Sketch, Peacock Feathers, Seedless Preserves and Kitch Flamingo. So I'm going to start off with, I think I might start with a bit of Blueprint Sketch. So this is a nice kind of rich blue. And when you kind of look at pictures of the Northern Lights, you can see how they kind of, it's kind of in lines, if that makes sense. So it kind of, the aurora draws down. So when I've done my inking, what I've done is started and just added in some of these kind of like little swirly bits, I would say. Is that the right word? Swirly bits to get me going. So this is what we can then do. So you can kind of just drag some colour in like this. So rather than going in that circular motion, I'm not bothered if my inking isn't super smooth. We can kind of then go in and start to work the ink a little bit more. So it takes a little bit of time just to build this up, but you can just keep going in with your inks and just keep adding, basically. And you can take this to get it as dark or as light as you want. And I'm using our ink blending brushes. That makes this technique so much easier to blend these colours. So we've got a little bit of that Blueprint Sketch on there now. Kind of like to go in, get as much ink off that brush as I can. Okay, there we go. And then we're going to take a little bit of this darker blue, which is Prized Ribbon, and just again start buffing that colour in. And this is a slightly more kind of purpley blue, I would say. And no 2 backgrounds that you create are going to be the same when you're doing this technique, which I also really like. So I'm going to take a little bit of Peacock Feathers next, and we'll just start. I'm going to do this in like a circular motion, because that'll then start to fill in some of the gaps. So this is this more kind of tealy blue colour. Really, really lovely. And then I'm going to go in with a pink. So I'm going to use a bit of Kitch Flamingo. There's this one here. And you can see how you start to get like that aurora kind of glow effect going on. And it does, it looks fabulous. Looks so, so good. Just start to build this colour into the design. And then we can add a little bit of purple. So I'm going to use Seedless Preserves, which is a beautiful kind of rich. There we go. And then if we take our little, I'm going to leave the mask on actually. So what I like to do is take a little baby wipe and a little bit of kitchen roll. And then where you've inked over your embossing, you can just, I just tend to dab it with a baby wipe. This is how I do it, right or wrong. Everyone has their own little ways, don't they? And then you can rub over it with your kitchen roll and just take off any excess ink. So then when we peel our little mask away, you can see how we've got our little hills in the background there. So it looks all fabulous and pretty. So what I would then like to do is stamp a sentiment onto here. So I'm going to go in with my anti-static bag and really give it a good dust. And then we're going to take that same sentiment again, which says, may your Christmas be filled with magic and sparkle. We'll ink that up with our Wow Clear embossing ink pad. And then again, I'm just going to hover. And then when I'm happy, press. So I want firm, even pressure all over the image. Lift that off, and then we're going to take our Wow Metallic Silver Sparkle, throw that over the top, tap away the excess. Now I can see that there are parts where it's clung to because that ink is still a little bit wet, the Distress ink. So the anti-static is going to help with some of that, but you might just need, if you've done it in a rush like I have, to go in with a paintbrush and just brush away any little excess kind of flecks of embossing powder. Sorry if you can't see that, I'm just tilting it so I can see it in the light. There we go. And then we'll heat this up. Ooh. So same technique again. Like that. And then we're going to take our Dries Clear PVA glue and we are going to go in just with a little few dots of PVA. Into these trees. And then we'll take our Sleigh Bells glitter. So that's going to go straight over the top. Tap away any excess. Can then go straight back into that jar. And then if you wanted to, you could leave it like this, but I'm going to take my chunky Crystallina. I'm going to go in with my PVA glue. So, and then we'll take our chunky Crystallina sprinkle that over the top. So what you can then do, again, I would let it dry, but you can then mat it onto your silver mirror card, mat it onto your card blank, and that would then be your finished project. So I really hope, I'm going to bring the finished ones in to show you actually. There we go. Pop those to one side. Put that one there to dry. So I really hope that you have enjoyed creating these 2 projects with me today. All of the materials are listed in the description below, and of course you can shop them all on our website, which is www.chloescreativecards.co.uk. If you haven't done so already, please do subscribe to our channel. We've got loads of amazing inspiration on there. And yeah, give this video a like. I hope to see you again very soon. Thank you for joining me. Bye.